So this is the 1200 hours GMT edition of the Khoodeelaar television channel being broadcast only on the internet under the banner of Baby Angel Geronimo Editions. This is the 1200 hours GMT edition being broadcast only on the internet on Sunday, the 23rd of April 2023. This is the broadcast that is being made on the platform called StreamYard.com, based in the USA. Now, there is a technical issue about the method of payment, and we have outstanding questions that we have put to them about the law concerning the methods of payment. We have asked the questions for months now, and we have waited for the answers. They have not been forthcoming. So the result is that we are now broadcasting on what is called the free plan. That is, currently, this is not being broadcast by paying StreamYard.com. We don't want to do that. We want to pay them. And it is the method of payment that has been at issue. According to their policy, they then put the logo, the StreamYard logo, on the screen, on the side of the screen where our own logo should be. So we are going to try and resolve this as soon as we can do, with the reasonable response from StreamYard.com. If it becomes impossible to get a reasonable response from StreamYard.com, we shall be reasonably looking for alternative platforms which we shall be using to do the broadcasts. We have not used any other platforms since we began using the StreamYard.com platform sometime in 2020. So we are assuming that they will behave reasonably and give us the answers to the outstanding legal questions as to the methods of payment that they will accept. On to the short version, of course, because of the technical issues I've summarized, this and the foreseeably forthcoming editions will have to be limited in terms of the length. But today being Sunday, the 23rd of April 2023, this is the day after Stephen Lawrence was murdered by a gang of racists in a place called Eltham in southeast London. Now, today's Murdoch Sunday Times is carrying a piece based on their kind of contacts with Neville Lawrence, Stephen Lawrence's father. And the point that I have picked up from this piece, which is the prominent point, is that he drove past the spot where his son was murdered by the racists, and the thought that occurred to him was to run them over. Obviously, they were not there, but that is the thought that he had as the father of the son that was murdered by racists. Now, there is Wikipedia entry about Stephen's mom, Doreen Lawrence. But I have searched and there is no similar entry on Neville Lawrence. Neville Lawrence is mentioned as Stephen's mom, as the man who was married to Stephen's mom, as part of her entry, Wikipedia entry. Quite why Neville Lawrence has not been given the entry by Wikipedia is not explained, but I think that it is the racists who control Wikipedia are doing the racist thing of undermining black man. Nothing to do with the relationship between Doreen and Stephen Lawrence. But the general agenda seems to be to undermine black man, whatever the excuse, whatever the pretext. So I think that is why they have not been running an entry on Stephen Lawrence's dad, Neville Lawrence. And I remember Neville Lawrence speaking at a rally that took place not long after he was murdered, somewhere at a location in Hackney and Tower Hamlets. It was Stephen Lawrence's dad who spoke, not Doreen Lawrence, Stephen's mom. And I think that from memory, I think that Neville Lawrence spoke for a reasonable length of time at that rally, to public rally, and he spoke credibly in terms of the experience he has had up to that time of trying to get the police to catch his son's murderers. Now, there was a period between that time and the surfacing of this character, this Pakistani origin individual, Imran Khan, who was reportedly very close, personally very close to Stephen Lawrence's mom, Doreen Lawrence. And it has not been disputed so far. The received accepted version of the news is that he and Doreen Lawrence are very close, let's put it this way. And that relationship is part of the factor of the state of the relationship between Stephen Lawrence's parents. So the report is that Stephen Lawrence's parents are divorced. Now, in the last 72 hours, I think it's the Guardian that has run an opinion piece byline to that Imran Khan. Now, Imran Khan became overly promoted as a soul cheater. And that was connected with the fact that he was allegedly or reportedly acting as the family soul cheater for Stephen Lawrence's parents. From everything that I have read and understood of the attitude and the understanding of the legal so-called system by Imran Khan, and the publicly issued comments by Doreen Lawrence about the Metropolitan Police and the state of racism in the United Kingdom. Everything that I've seen, contextually, I think, adds up to something like this. Imran Khan has built a kind of significant name recognition based on his alleged role as the sole cheater, allegedly, quote, for the family, the parents either divorced or before they're divorced, of Stephen Lawrence and his surviving siblings. Imran Khan has had that added to his CV, the recognition. But if you take aside the particular recognition thing, name recognition, not knowledge recognition, then you find that Imran Khan is just another soul cheater. I call it soul cheater, not solicitor, because the profession of the soul cheaters, like the profession of the licensed law trading court barristers, is a corrupt profession, is a profession that is only in operation for the benefit of the license holders and the license issuers. There is no enlightenment in what Imran Khan has ever said in the last 30 years, anytime in the last 30 years, about racism, about the racism of the police, about the racism of the judiciary, about the racism of the media, which is shocking. Why am I calling it shocking? Because given that he has had uncommon depth of contact, proximity with at least one parent of Stevens, that is Doreen Lawrence, Imran Khan must have come across, must have witnessed evidence, at least thousands of items of evidence that constitute a unique condemnation of the racist behavior on the part of the Metropolitan Police, on the part of the British media, and on the part of the others who have not been identified by name but have been in action, making excuses for the police behavior that has continued to allow these criminals to still remain unprosecuted for their parts in the racist attack on Stephen Lawrence. Plus, for post facto, the behavior after the events, that is about and around that particular family. What about the concept of the black community as a whole? Let's start with the kind of definition of the black community. Let's say that by the black here, most people would mean and refer to people of African origin who may have come through Caribbean islands and Caribbean kind of processes. But essentially, black people originating in Africa. There has been no noticeable evidence that I can be reminded of the existence of a black community defined as such that has taken up the cause and case of Stephen Lawrence. So the Stephen Lawrence legacy that they were talking about on 22nd of April, that is yesterday, is a phantom legacy because Stephen Lawrence was the victim of the racist crime, murder. I mean, if he got murdered, then from the moment of his murder, he ceased to have any creative role. And so, therefore, there was nothing after his murder that he could create. It follows, therefore, that he did not create a legacy, he did not make a statement, and he could not make a commentary. The only people that do keep making comments and statements about Stephen Lawrence are the ones that are still being kind of featured. Not necessarily consistently, because outside the St. Martin in the Fields in the Trafalgar Square, yesterday, that is Saturday, there was this new name that appeared on the list of people who have appeared over the last previous 30 years in connection with claiming to know what Stephen Lawrence was and even to know what his legacies were. There was nothing in the decades that followed until yesterday, followed the murder of Stephen Lawrence. For decades, Keir Starmer was pursuing his own career here, there, and everywhere. He made no comment referring to Stephen Lawrence, and he could not have made any comments because Keir Starmer himself is a racist criminal and he has not contributed to the moral campaign, ethical campaign for an end to the racism of the judiciary, an end to the racism of the Home Office, an end to the racism of the way that black youngsters are policed in this country. It therefore follows that Starmer made an appearance on Saturday, 22nd of April 2023, outside and inside the St. Martin in the Fields church. That's it. He gave no dedicated, enlightening, original insight into any program that either existed already or would exist given the theoretical possibility that a Labour Party, fronted by the Keir Starmer, would assume office and become the government. It follows, therefore, that the observation that Doreen Lawrence has made, that after 30 plus years, she finds that nothing has changed. By that, she means the racism of the police has not ended, and the racism of the police has not been addressed by the police, by the government, by the judiciary, by the media. So, this is the description of the black community, which then can be analyzed by referring to the Black History Month. I have been condemning the Black History Month right from the beginning, which means I have been singularly, uniquely condemning the Black History Month ever since it was promoted by the corrupt and racist Greater London Council in the 1980s, with the collusion of a number of African origin individuals who wanted to personally profit from the GLC's corrupt largesses. And although the corrupt Greater London Council peddled to promote the image of Ken Lyons to Livingston by the corrupt title called Caribbean Times, owned and published by Hansib Publishing, created by Rifraf Ali. I call him Rifraf Ali because he was corrupt to the core, this Rifraf Ali, also known as Arif Ali. And Rifraf sold his soul to the crook Ken Lyons to Livingston, who in return showered Rifraf Ali with unprecedented amount of GLC money. Now, Rifraf Ali was publishing CT, the Caribbean Times, solely for the benefit of Ken Lyons to Livingston. And he owes me money, although I never asked him for money, but he owes me money. Rifraf Ali owes me money for a whole range of world exclusive items that I contributed, made available to him. As for the wider society, there was no evidence that the wider society, so called, includes the various groups from the Asian backgrounded people allegedly doing things for justice. They didn't do anything for justice for Stephen Lawrence. And essentially, this whole foundation thing that has been set up in the name of Stephen Lawrence, it has been set up. That's it. But it's not something that is against racism at any level. So we shall be talking about Stephen Lawrence and his parents and the aftermath of his being murdered by racists in due course more extensively. There is this intolerance to even the slightest opposition to racism at any level in this country. And the intolerance is to be found in the outlets that Rupert Dirty Digger Murdoch controls and uses those platforms to give platforms to the most corrupt among the population in the United Kingdom at present. The crooks, the corrupt individuals can be called, according to Surah Al-Isra in the Holy Quran, each one of them a personification of evilness. Rod Liddell, Tony Parsons, et al. Now, these are the corrupt individuals, the evilnesses that are currently doing what 31 years ago Theresa May, just about launching her personal career as the leader, the potential leader of the Conservative Party, described the Conservative Party as being the nasty party. We shall end this edition just under half an hour at this point, and we shall continue updating and originally reporting in due course in the later editions.